Welcome to this episode of Facts in Motion. Today we will be looking at an animal that, with over 10,000 trillion individuals, is one of the most numerous animals on the planet. Here are 6 facts you might not know about ants. Hope you enjoy. Number 1. The most known fact about ants is probably that the weight of all ants combined equals or is bigger than the weight of all humans. This claim was originally made around 20 years ago by Harvard professor Edward O. Wilson and the German biologist Bert Hölldoppler, but it's most likely false. The calculation is based on the idea that an average ant weighs about 60 milligrams, and even though there are ants that weigh that much, most of them are a lot smaller. Better estimations suggest that the average weight of an ant is only around 1/10 of that, which makes the human biomass around 10 times bigger than the ant's biomass. Number 2. Basically all ants you see running around in the wild are female. That includes all workers and soldiers, as well as the princesses and the queen, of course. Male ants, called drones, are only alive for a few weeks during flight season. When the time has come, they fly away with the princesses to mate with ones of other nests. After that they quickly die, while the new queens land to start their new colonies. A queen stores the sperm in a special sperm pocket that lasts her throughout her lifetime, fertilizing tens of millions of eggs. Number 3. When ants wander around outside their nest, they leave behind trails of pheromones, which helps them find their way back home after they found food. It also makes it easy for other ants to find this food source later. These will then lay down even more pheromones, reinforcing the scent. Over time, many paths between the nest and the food are explored, but the scent on the shortest path is reinforced more frequently and is therefore stronger than on the others. So it quickly becomes the most popular one. The result is one of those ant highways that we have probably all seen. Some of those trails can get surprisingly long. Harvester ant workers can be found collecting seeds as far away as 50 to 60 kilometers. But those trails can also become a death trap. Sometimes it happens that a section gets destroyed or that the ants simply lose it. If they can't find another one, they quickly start following one another, forming a continuously rotating circle in which every following ant gets stuck in. This is called antmill and can get massive, trapping tens of thousands of ants in them until they eventually all die of exhaustion. Number 4. Ants have walked the earth far longer than humans. Recent studies suggest that ants first arose about 110 to 130 million years ago, which means they still lived alongside the dinosaurs for around 60 million years. But you can just as easily find pretty old ants between the living ones. Even though most ants only live for a couple of months, the queens can get surprisingly old. Most of them can live longer than a decade, and some even up to multiple decades. Only termite queens live longer among insects. Number 5. In October 2012, the Austrian skydiver Felix Baumgartner jumped to Earth from a helium balloon, setting a new world record for skydiving, falling a record distance of 36,000 meters, or 120,000 feet. After deploying his parachute, he safely landed in New Mexico 9 minutes and 9 seconds after he had jumped. If you, however, would drop an ant from this altitude, it wouldn't even need a parachute. Due to the relatively low terminal velocity, or the maximum free-falling speed, of 6.4 km per hour, and its tough exoskeleton, it wouldn't take any significant damage. This, however, isn't something unique to ants. To most animals of the size of a mouse or smaller, falling from high altitudes presents practically no danger. What's however interesting about ants is that they seem to know this. Not only that, but they are the only known wingless insects who can control their flight. A study from the University of Oklahoma found that when tree-living ants are faced with a predator, they will jump into thin air from high branches and use their legs to maneuver through air, as if they had a wingsuit. That way they can glide back towards the tree trunk, on which they will safely land. Number 6. For humans, the development of agriculture triggered a change in society and the way in which people lived. This happened around 12,000 years ago, and as a result, the traditional hunter-gatherer lifestyles were swept aside in favor of permanent settlements and a reliable food supply. But we are not the first species to figure out the value of agriculture. Some groups of ants beat us by around 65 million years. These ants cultivate fungus, much like humans farm crops. The leafcutter ant is a well-known example of this. They actively grow fungus, feeding it with freshly cut plant material and keeping it free from pests and molds. With over 12,000 species spread across every continent except Antarctica, a lot of ants have developed interesting behaviors. Some are fierce warlords that invade nests of other ant species to steal their larvae and use them as slave workers. Others are mercenaries that protect special plants against parasites in exchange for its plant's juice and a room for their nest. Still others are peaceful farmers that farm little bugs that they milk for their sugary secretions, just like we milk cows. Those were 6 facts about ants. How many did you know? Thanks for watching.